Getting the Google Ads algorithm to truly love your e-commerce brand is an amazing thing, simply because this makes winning auctions with Google Ads or ranking in the top 5 much easier. And it also lowers your chances of getting your Google Merchant Center account suspended. But most important of all, getting the Google Ads algorithm to love your brand means you have lower CPCs, lower CACs, higher return on ad spend, simply because you got the Google Ads algorithm on your side. So in this video, I'm going to show you that one specific thing, which if you do right now can literally explode your e-commerce brand to multi-six figures per month in revenue just with Google Ads alone. Now, the actual thing I'm about to talk about in this video has to do with the actual testing approach you take when it comes to your actual campaigns. And the best way to kind of explain this is to look at Performance Max campaigns or search campaigns, because within Performance Max campaigns, you have a very unique section called the asset group section, where a lot of different testing can actually happen. So the most common ways that so many e-commerce brands use the asset group section, they throw a bunch of things in here. Maybe they throw a bunch of different images in there, logos, headlines, videos, along with audience signals, and they just hope and pray that Google goes out and finds their winning creatives or their winning iterations for them. And this is where the problems arise, because what you want to understand is the Google Ads algorithm loves it when you give it direction. It could be even the smallest thing, like what to test, or it could be something bigger, like the specific strategy you want the whole campaign to take. But regardless of what it is, it prefers it if you or your e-commerce brand gives it one goal or one specific input that it can keep in mind when it goes out to find your ideal audience. And when you come inside your Performance Max campaigns or just your search campaigns in general, and you provided a bunch of different asset groups with a bunch of different things internally, what happens is, instead of giving the algorithm clear direction of which way to go, it makes it completely confused and completely off the path. Because now, instead of just focusing on the products which it should be testing, it's forced to iterate through every single one of these images, or it's forced to iterate through every single one of these audience signals to find the winning kind of creatives or to find the winning approach. And this leaves the algorithm completely scratching its head. One of the main questions that arises within the algorithm is, what are we even testing exactly? Are we testing these bunch of different images, or are we testing these products, or maybe are we testing these signals? And this is really not a good strategy, because it does not use Google's internal systems to your advantage. Now, we want to keep in mind that the algorithm is a robot. The robot likes to have one thing enter and then one thing exit. So one input for every one output. This means instead of adding a bunch of different asset groups with a variety of different things, you want to be only testing one specific thing at a time. And this is what explodes so many of the brands we work with under my agency, which, by the way, if your brand is $1 million a year or more and you want to scale it to multi-seven figures per year with Google Ads, go on my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can essentially work together and make that happen. But the approach here is fairly simple. You want to choose one specific thing which you want to test within your campaign. If it's just a specific type of image, it should be only one image with one logo or one video or whatever it is. It should be the one-to-one approach for every single one of these. So there's no multiple inputs. And if you want to test only these kinds of specific assets, well, then you should have 2 to 3 different asset groups as an approach. And then everything else besides that testing factor should be the exact same. So if the images, headlines, videos, etc. are all the same, the product should all be the same. And the only thing that should be different then is the testing factor. So in this case, let's say you want to test different audience signals. Well, in that situation, only the audience signals section should be different. Everything else should be the exact same, and vice versa. So you have 2 or 3 different asset groups, and you only change the images, and again, only one image at a time, one video at a time. If you want to test a specific image, well, the logos, videos, headlines, etc., they should all be the same for every single one of these assets. That is the only ideal and realistic way to go about the asset group section, regardless of whether it's a PMAX, regardless of whether it's a search campaign. Because again, when we only give it one factor to test, well, now we can know exactly what's working. Because if, for example, this first asset group ends up working and the second one doesn't, then we know that, hey, maybe it's because we inserted image number 1 here. That's the winning image. So now we can continue our A/B testing using that winning image in mind, and maybe test more alongside provide that specific winning image. This is what you need to be doing to get the Google Ads algorithm on your side. If you add way too many things, first of all, you're not even going to know what's working. Like with this example right here, every single one of these asset groups has different images. It also has different products it's targeting, but at the same time, it has a bunch of different audience signals which are separate from each other. So in reality, if this first one is working right here, this asset group, we have no idea why it's working. Why? Because Google does not give you the ability to actually note down what the performance is per asset group. I mean, if you look right here, the most information Google actually gives is it says things like not enough data, or in certain situations, it might say something like good or best or low. And the reality is we don't know what good means. We don't know what best means. So this is really kind of a limiting factor with these kinds of smart bidding based campaigns, or just even search campaigns in general. And you need to kind of be very cautious of this. Again, if you want the Google Ads algorithm on your side, you need to be giving it a specific direction, regardless of whether it's PMAX, demand gen, search campaigns, etc. And only use that one factor as a testing factor, and then find more and more winning variations, combinations, etc. from that. But again, if your brand does $1 million a year or more and you want to scale to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can essentially work together and make that happen. But check out this case study right here I did on a brand which we followed a similar approach to scale to multi 7 figures with Google only.